Boom, welcome back to the TNEC cast, episode 50. 51, I was going to say episode area 51. Aliens, woo! Anyway, you man Chef with the man Weapon K. And like always, we are the TNEC cast. Get the housekeeping out the way. Like, comment, subscribe. Before we ask K how he's feeling, just give a couple of updates. As you see, the number has changed. We are now, as of taping of this episode, at 97 athletes for our show, the DSC, the Dallas Showdown Classic. So we're very excited about that, getting close to that big number of 100. So everybody that's been supporting that, we appreciate you. Also, we've been doing some updates to TNEC On Demand. So you'll be seeing more of what we're doing here on the YouTube channel, sliding over to TNEC On Demand messaging. So we're just bringing more to you all. So we just appreciate the support. Just keep letting us know what you guys want. We're going to keep trying to do everything we can to deliver it. So speaking of delivery, the Weapon K, how you feeling, brother?
I'm chilling, man. I forgot to ask you, how was the posing clinic like 2 days ago?
Oh, posing clinic was wonderful. Posing clinic was wonderful, man. I'm surprised we didn't talk about it in the pre-show. Yeah, posing clinic was good. The thing that was crazy, it was good that we didn't have everybody show up that was supposed to, because we outgrew the space with the people that were there. Yeah, so there's supposed to be more people there, but it was all good, man. It was another great time. Q, shout out to Q. He came all the way from St. Louis, natural world champion, really just a natural bodybuilding legend. He came through and helped out. My boy Trey, IBB Pro, he's getting ready to make his debut. He came through to help out. So we had, we just had a great turnout. So we had 4 different states represented. So I just always love being able to say, like, man, we got people that come from all these different places that come through to learn. So then just on the posing camp front, the next NFF posing camp, and the next one that I'll be involved with, or somebody from TNEC will be involved with, is going to be in Lubbock, April 9th. And then, the NFF season kicks off, and then April 23rd, and then just we really be rocking and rolling, because soon, like, you see Kyrie's face right now still looks a tad bit full. We got about we got 2 more weeks. We're gonna start to see the lines, and then I'll be right behind them. So yeah, it's exciting times. A lot of exciting things going on. So how you feeling?
So today we are going to be talking about intensity, and more so about intensity in the workouts. First, we're going to address what is intensity. Second, we're going to give you intensity techniques such as drop sets, cluster sets, etc. And this one is sponsored by Isaac's Brain. So Isaac, go ahead and kick us off. What is intensity?
So I want to thank Kay for saying for a couple episodes ago, saying, hey, let's kind of like take a little bit of a veer towards this way, because it seems like it's been something that everybody's really, really taken to. So I wanted to say that it's just been great. So intensity. Now, one thing I want to say, this is one of those things where there's not just one definition. So it's like a working definition, because intensity and effort sometimes get mixed up. Because you could be putting in a lot of effort but not have a lot of intensity, but you also could be barely putting in any effort, but because you're strong, you are putting out a lot of intensity. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand, like, as you're listening, make sure that you're not confusing the two or putting the two together. So your intensity, I would say, is your output in each maneuver. So, for example, people like Kyrie and myself, we would have to use different techniques to really be intense with on the bench with a weight like 135, because that is, that's relatively light to us. Or if we're just doing the bar, let me do that, because I don't want anybody feeling kind of singled out. So we're just doing the bar like as a warm up. You'll either see us going really, really fast, really slow, pausing in order to feel a deeper burn, to feel more of a challenge with that weight. So that's a good way to look at intensity. That's why I say it's a working definition, because it's not as easy as just to say like one sentence. And there may be somebody that could put it into one sentence, but intensity, because it can mean a lot. And this is the coaching side of me. It can mean a lot to a lot of different people. So you got to understand who your audience is when you're speaking about intensity. So kind of what sparked this is, something that, I talk, with clients and athletes about. People, the first thing you think when I say to you, hey, I need you to be a little bit more intense. The first thing you think, bro science, Kyrie's he's still young, so he's still coming away from bro science. Hey, look, no, don't get me wrong, I was bro science deep into my 20s, so let's not get it confused. I'm just saying now that I'm an old man, I've got away from it. But bro science is do more weight. That's just what it is. You're curling the 50s. I want to be more intense. I'm not feeling as much. Do more weight, go to 55s, go to the 60s. That is one way to do your intensity. That's the easy way. It's the old school way. Now, shout out to DJ when we were doing our coach client Zoom, and I was talking to her about different ways because she brought up something very smart. She's like, hey, I want to keep up a high intensity, but I don't want to get injured because she's in prep right now. So your strength starts to, now you want to keep your strength as high as you can, but your strength starts to go down while you're in prep. So she was like, yeah. So she was talking me about certain weights. It's like, but I don't want to, get hurt trying to, push that weight. So I said to her, I was like, what you do, you take a weight that you can control. So if you're dumbbell bench pressing 50s, go down to 40, 35, 30. Now change the intensity not change the intensity, keep the intensity up by changing your technique. So what do I mean by that? And then I'm going to pass it to Kay because he actually talked about a couple other techniques. But change your tempo. That's one way. So instead of kind of like you typically do things at about a 1-2 pace. So 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, which is fine as long as you're going controlled. But now that 30, instead of doing that 1-2 pace that you do with the 50s, now you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're coming back up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That now you're increasing that time under tension. Now you're getting that deep burn. Now rep 3 feels like rep 25. And then before I pass it to Kay, I just want to say a quote from Jay Cutler because it's one of my favorite quotes. He was talking about Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman does all this stuff. He's great. He lists all this, lightweight, baby, yeah, buddy, everything he does. But, unfortunately, we see how Ronnie is. And I think I've said this one time on here. But anyway, Jay Cutler says, like, yeah, you can do that, or you can take 25 pounds and make it feel like 100. And that helps to preserve your body. You're not putting as much pressure on your joints and things like that. So when we're talking about these techniques, so kind of, explain intensity and then kind of like ways to gauge it and then ways to change it up. So Kay mentioned a couple of different, different things. So Kay, like how you were talking about like with drop sets and other things that I can't remember, cluster sets. Mm-hmm. Talk about those, the importance of them, why you do them, how it, give the people some information on that.
So before we do that, remind me if I don't touch on it, because my brain just squirrel and I'm gone, right? So remind me if I don't talk about the intensity techniques. But whenever I'm typing up like the quick, what are we talking about intensity? Let me jot down a few words so I kind of, have a train of thought. And I was like, what is intensity? And the only word up there is effort. And the reason why I say effort, right, is because me and my training partner was talking about this yesterday, saying like, yo, like I'm feeling beat up. My joints is really hurting, stuff like that. And I was like, all right, cool. On the compounds, we still stay in our specific rep range, and then we just higher rep range on the isolation movements, on the ladder raise, stuff like that. Because usually I just train heavy because the main driver of hypertrophy is mechanical tension. You need the load, right? And he was like, yeah, as long as we stay intense, that's the only thing that matters, right? And it was like, okay, then what's intensity, right? It's just like, okay, sure, like I agree with you. It can be the tempo of rep, or just changing up, like you add in an intensity technique. But I feel like at the root of what the definition of intensity is just like it's do or die. Period. Right? So like you see Branch Warren in the gym. His form isn't something that I would ever want to see in real life, but he's very successful. But we can all look at this man and be like, that's intense. You see what I'm saying? And then you look at, let's say, Terrence Ruffin. if you watch some of his training videos, and it's very slow, methodical, controlled, everything. Like, that's still intense. And I think the basis of both of them is that effort. And one thing I also love about this sport is there's 1,000 ways to. I usually say skin a cat, but I can't say that because that's not politically correct. It's 1,000 ways to go about this thing, right? And how you told DJ was just like, yeah, just change the tempo, right? And allow the tempo change. Instead of going like the 1-2, like I do like a 1-2 or 1-3 on certain exercises, and you say let's do like a 3-6, right? J Cutler, save your joints. Why not make 225 feel like 500 pounds? And this is just from my, me studying the craft and everything. I'm not married to this idea at all, but it's just like I have to have load on the bar, right? Obviously, there gets to a point where it's just like, hey, bro, like you have to dial it back a little bit. But load is literally the once again, the main driver of hypertrophy. And then you have metabolic stress in there. You also like time under tension and stuff like that. But the main primary thing is load, right? And that's why you see people doing like 20 reps on everything. Like that Flex Wheeler thing, the metabolic training type deal. And what I see, from like anecdotal evidence from like Martin Fitzwater, Flex, all that, it works for a little bit, but it's not sustainable over a long period of time because you still need that load. But at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, if it works for you, do you get results? Yes. Okay, roger that. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. And that's what I love about this sport, and also to have two people come to the conclusion that, hey, bro, is results getting made? Yes. All right, cool. Like it is what it is. But going back to intensity techniques, I dropped down 4. These are the first 4 that came to mind. I'm the king of drop sets. I love drop sets. And drop set is whenever let's say you do like a chest press for 100 pounds. And I usually, like if it's a stack, I go every other plate on the stack. So it'll go to like 100 and then to 80 and then to 60 and then I call it set. Some people do two drops and then they drop it with 40%. Supersets, I would never do an inclined curl to a dumbbell curl superset because you're doing the same thing just with dumbbells. So if I do a superset, it would be like leg extensions with leg curls, or like Arnold, a bench press with pull-ups.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Cluster sets, also one of my favorites. I use this on like compound movements if I'm like well fed and ready to go, or if I don't have a spotter, right? Because it's a little bit more safer and allow you to get more volume out of that heavy weight. And let's say I actually did an IG reel about this. If I can take 225 and hit 7 with it, take 15 seconds, I hit 3. Take 15 seconds, I hit 1. In total, I hit 11 reps. 11 reps instead of killing it at 7. So a little bit more exposure to that, and more, you just emptying everything you got in there, and more effective reps as well. So and then that last one is giant sets. I don't ever do giant sets, just because that's usually like if you need less time inside the gym. You know what I mean? I need to get in, get out. Don't want a giant set. Do different movements, but in my opinion. In the giant set, I feel like you should definitely let your breathing come down a little bit so you're not gassed by the 4th movement or the 3rd movement. And you're just like, I can't do a pull-up, dog. I'm gassed. Like, and that's at that point, you're just wasting time. So what do you got?
So you hit on a few things. So I'll talk about the giant set real quick. And so those giant sets, so sometimes I'll throw in a tri-set, which is kind of the same as a giant set because basically it's just anything more than a superset. And they serve their purpose because sometimes what you can do, and again, this is about, I'll say it like this. It does serve actually multiple purposes, but Kyrie brought up time, so I'm gonna stick to that. if you just are one of those people that you have to be in and out in 30 minutes, you do 10 minutes of one compound, 10 minutes of another, and then you finish off with a giant set. That helps offset your time with intensity, because intensity will make up for a lot, just like with the reference to Branch Warren. Now, the other thing is Branch Warren, he's lifting so heavy. People don't realize, like, if you see somebody curling 100s, it is near impossible to do that with good form because your joints would snap. If you try to literally come here and go like that with a 100, freestanding, that's why you kind of have to, do a little herky jerky.
Yeah, a little love into it.
your joints literally would snap. We're not made to do that. So talking about, with supersets and compound sets. So if you're going to do a compound set, those bad boys are tough, because basically a compound set it would be like doing 2 push movements, 2 leg movements, 2 pull movements. Whereas in a superset, which I love to do, is you're doing it's usually supposed to be 2 counter moves, so a push and a pull. So like, you brought up, so you hit your 10 on the bench, then you want to do 10 pull-ups, or you do 10 rows, you do 10 overhead, you do 10 overhead press, and then you do 10 upright rows. Like, those are ways to have intensity. On some people, for their leg days, I won't tell you what 2 exercises, got to pay for that, but I'll have people start off with a superset, just to kind of get them legs just fired up, and not really a warm up, but just to get them fired up. And you're like, okay, we're here to work. It sets the tone for the intensity. Another technique that I like, and you were kind of, talking about, is the pause rest. I really love doing pause rest, because that way you can take a heavier weight. And Kyrie broke it down with, with 225, going, 731. But it's even good on isolation movements, so you do, try like a tricep press down with the rope. You do 15, rest for 10 to 15 seconds, then go again and try to get 15. Like, it's a burnout. It's a burnout. But that burnout is intensity. That's why a lot of people finish their workouts with burnouts, whether they do burnout sets of curls or burnout sets of, even wall sits are like a burnout, even though it's an isometric movement, which means you're standing still. But not standing, but sitting still. But the key is, those are all different ways to get intensity. So there's a lot of different ways to get intensity. And then you just get to a point, you might not, if you haven't been able to do on the bench, like you get stopped at 315, you've been there for 6 months, change up your intensity, start doing more at 275 and 300 to help you get over that hump. And that's, but you can still do those intensities. So just because you're scaling back on the weight doesn't mean, or scaling, I'll go with Kyrie's terminology, scaling back on the load doesn't mean that you're scaling back on the intensity. And honestly, the lighter the weight, the more intense you should be. Because a lot of times, we'll throw back to Branch Warren, you see him and it's very like, this is intense. If you question his intensity, you're an idiot. However, you got to remember, there's somebody in the gym that's curling with a 15 and they're just as intense, because they're going slow, dead slow, and they're feeling every single fiber of that muscle firing as they're bringing it up. Like, I just felt that just going up, so I was going up so slow. That's intensity. So you have to remember, there's different types of intensity for different movements. So compound exercises, your big ones, the way you will switch those up versus the way you'll change it for more isolation exercises like lateral raises, where you're really not doing that much weight anyway. That's where you start to throw in clusters or pause rest or even supersets. And then with the compound movements, that's where pause rest is really going to throw up that intensity, because you back off your max a little bit, or you back off your 5 rep max a little bit. Knock out 5, wait again, see if you could do 5 again. There's a lot of ways, but that intensity should leave you sore. So now, the more in shape you get in, it's more about your recovery than how sore you feel. That's something that I've noticed and I believe. So when you're done at the gym, right, you should be sore. You should be I shouldn't say sore. You should feel something. You should know what you just worked. If you didn't, you need to kind of look at your intensity. So now what happens when you first started, we all know is when you first started the gym, you were probably sore for 2 weeks. Then it started to subside.
Yeah, let me
That's
cut you
getting
off real quick. I got a funny story,
here.
man. So I went to the gym for the first time. There's probably the photo on Instagram somewhere, right? And I went to the gym with my dad, and we did chest and try. And the next few days, I was just destroyed, destroyed. And it was like the second to third day, I don't remember. I went to the actual like school nurse's office, and I was like, "Yo, I have to get an ice pack. I am hurting." They were like, "Okay, like what happened? What did you do?" And I was like, "I went to the gym," and it was just like, "What are you trying to do? Show off or something, man?" Because it was just like that new stimulus, right? The new stimulus is just like, ow.
Yep.
But as you were saying, my bad. I just had to throw it.
No, it's good. It's the truth because so everybody. This is a good example. When you come off of the deload week, everybody talks about how sore they are those next 2 or 3 days because their body actually had a full chance to kind of heal up. The muscles actually got a chance to really rebuild. And you just broke them jokers down again. Your body's like, why? That's why. That's why you're so sore. So that's another way you can gauge your intensity. So if you're early in your journey, it's a little bit different than where Kay and I are. Where we are. Okay, that sounded funny when I said it. where we're at in the journey, just because we've been doing it for a while. So, do we still feel sore? Yes. Do we still have those workouts? Sometimes we do feel a day or two later. Yes, but it's more few and far between. Or if we change the program, like there's a reason why we feel it. I'll put it like that. Whereas when you're early on, because I have a lot of people those first 4 to 6 weeks, they're like, "Oh my God," and everything is hurting. And then they think just because they don't hurt as much or different things, they think that their workouts aren't as good. This is where it comes in, on our part to kind of explain to them about intensity, about why they're feeling sore, why they're not feeling sore, about recovery, the whole 9 yards. But when you walk out of that gym, you need to, if the body part that you work, body part or body parts that you worked don't feel a little bit, I mean, sore is just the best way to put it. If you don't feel some kind of soreness, now it doesn't mean you need to feel it 20, 30 minutes later, but when you're walking out, you need to feel it. That's when you can start really thinking about, was my intensity there? And then that's definitely where intensity and effort marry up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where they definitely marry up. Forget, my definition, his definition, their definition, all that stuff. Because now you got to be like, all right, where was my effort? Okay, if you say your effort was there, no reason for us to say you're lying. But now you gotta look at your intensity. Okay, yeah, your effort, I was giving it, but did you, for example, you're supposed to go 5 count up, 5 count down. Did you wait till you were all the way down, or did you do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's what you gotta realize. Or a real good one, adding a pause, like pause squats. And that's one of my ones where I put it in the note where I have people doing pause squats. Like, wait till you get to the bottom of the exercise before you start counting. Don't start counting that pause while your butt is still over your knees. Don't do that. Have 2 seconds before you drop, and then don't do that. But that's cheating yourself. But that's where the intensity is. That's where that's where you see the difference between between the top half and the bottom half. People that are finishing out their reps, finishing out their sets, giving that extra little bit of intensity, doing a weight that scares them, doing a tempo that scares them, combining weight and tempo. Like that's one of the things I've been experimenting with, doing some tempo work at some heavier weights. And that's a whole different animal when you're doing lat pull downs at a weight that not all that long ago I was just doing it regular, boom boom. Now I'm going real dead slow, holding it, letting it go, whole different animal, whole different animal.
So now I'm thinking about how you should be sore, or you should feel something, right? You shouldn't feel 1,000% walking out of a gym, especially on a leg day, right? Leg day should be the most taxing day. Should.
Yep.
But yes, you are very correct. I agree. Where it's just like if you don't feel like at least just like after leg day, then it's just like you should go harder, right? Or let's say your effort was there and your recovery, that means you just checked every single box off and your recovery is spot on. And that's when you need to go back to the drawing board and being like, do I need to add a set somewhere? Do I need to add a few sets somewhere? Do I need to go heavier? You know what I mean? Making sure like all the form and everything is correct. So it's kind of like you can be on one or the other side of the spectrum saying, I'm not going hard enough, or I can go 1,000% harder, which means there's more growth either way. You feel what I'm saying with having that? So that's where, what's up?
No, because you bring some, because now we can bring this back around to log booking. This is where that comes in. And it's funny enough, I'm not gonna I hope I'm not putting James on too much blast, but I put something about like when I shared a clip to the reel, and he was saying how he doesn't, log his workouts. Now let's not get it confused. He finished third at one of the biggest shows, in the state and all these different things. So he knows what he's doing. So this isn't some kind of like, oh, gotcha. But the first thing I said to him was like, well, you know what you're doing. If I asked you what your weights are, you would know them. He's like, okay, yeah. So sometimes the logbook is up here. So when we're speaking about this, and because it's off your point, that's how you start to measure your intensity. Because now you can look back like, damn, I've been doing the same weight for the last 8 weeks. That's why I don't even feel like I'm intense anymore, because now that 225 that I used to struggle for the 8 reps, now I just throw it up there. Mm-hmm. So now I don't even feel that. I don't get that same resistance. And you just didn't realize because you just so used to going in there doing this 8 reps, whatever it was, that you didn't even think that, oh man, I've been doing this for X amount of time. So that's where that log booking. And look, at the end of the day, however even if you're tracking it up here, however, you need to be keeping track. Don't just go in there and say, oh, this looks good, and then pick that up. Because as Kay said, now you start to say, man, is it because I'm not doing the effort, or is it because I didn't realize I didn't make a change when I needed to? You know what I mean? So that was a really, really, really good point, because even bringing it back to when I used to run a lot, that's how I started to discover I could run distance running fast, because I started emptying out the tank. So I was like, I was starting to run. I was doing stuff at, high 7-minute, low 8-minute pace. And I'd do like, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles. And I just wasn't tired. I was like, let me try to empty out the tank. So it took me about 5 or 6 runs where I just go as hard as I could. Now I'm not going to say in front like I was sprinting, the whole way, but, I'm going, really hard. That's when I started to see my times where, the first time I did it was like 6:50. I was like, oh crap. Then, got down and I kind of, settled, in the high six. I mean, the high teens of the 6, like, 6:15, and that's when I had to start to kind of work again. But what I'm saying is I emptied out the tank. So it's the same thing in the gym when you're sitting there saying, okay, I just went through a workout and I didn't feel anything. Whether you go back through your law book or whatever, you're like, how can I change it? Is it a mindset thing? Is it a technique thing? Is it both? But you got to analyze it, because when you allow it to just be science and numbers, you'll win. If you kind of go off of things that are not quantifiable, you put yourself in trouble. You put yourself in deep trouble, because now you come talk to me or Kyrie. We're not going. When I say we don't understand how you feel, feeling is different for everybody. There's some people that can go to the gym angry and they don't even need pre-workout. They're like the Incredible Hulk. They lift the whole gym. There are some people that go into the gym angry. They lose focus. They lose track, and they can't work out. So. But now when you say to me, hey, I've been doing 225 8 times, for sets of 8 for the last 6 weeks, and it just feels too easy. That's the easy fix. I'm like, well, Gary, go to 245, go up to 250, see what happens there. Makes it it's quantifiable stuff. Now, so we can, put the mad scientist hat on, start to get to work.
For sure. So I'm probably going to hit up James, because now you got me thinking, right? So how it was kind of broken down to me, because I watch a lot of bodybuilding podcasts, and I think this came from Jordan Peters. He was just like, well, first let me ask you a question, Isaac. Do you leave anything in your business life up to chance?
I want to just say no, but I'd probably say 90, like it's a very small percentage, like 5% kind of goes up the chance and that's more of a, hey, I worked through this.
Mm-hmm.
I've done what I could. So now whatever happens kind of
Mm-hmm.
deal, but
For
not
sure.
like, willy
Yeah,
nilly.
but everything is pretty much like tracked, right? So you know how
Yep.
much money's coming in, how much
Mm-hmm.
money's going out, where's the money going to, what's the return on investment on said,
Yep. Yep.
So how Jordan Peters broke this down is that whenever, let's say I lose again at nationals, right? I get third place.
You say something else. Don't put that out
Hold on,
there.
hold on, hold on, because this is very important. Whenever I go back to the drawing board and they say you have to, work more on this chest, right? Then I'd be like, okay, what did I do last time? Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if you don't keep a logbook, right? And that's one thing is like bodybuilding is my career. It's not paying me yet, but it's my career. And I don't leave anything up to chance. I don't want to chance it. That's just me, right? I want to keep track of everything. And plus, like, it also, like, if I say I'm not feeling good today or something is scary to me that day, for example, yesterday, I had to do 275 on incline press. I was not feeling it. I looked at my logbook and I was just like, I did 275 for 8 last time. And I have to do 275 for 9 or 10. And I hit I think they say 240 for, like my 3, but it just felt like Big Shirley. You know what I mean? Like you got that big girl on you. And I'm looking at Tristan, my training partner, and I'm like, I don't know about this one, man. But it's kind of like, yo, I can't back down from that. You can't. Because this is the only thing keeping me accountable right there, the logbook. Obviously, like if you train it's 35 above 35 and lower than 80% of your 1 rep max, you'll get gains.
Yep.
However, it's just like my joints was fine. It was just the inner bitch saying, "Yo, man, I don't think so, man. I don't think so."
And that happens. People don't realize that because like
Did we lose him? I think we lost him.
You feel it more on the push movements than anything else. There's just a certain point, no matter how strong you get, you break this like little threshold where it always just feels heavy. You could be feeling extra strong. You just kind of know, oh, okay, now it's game time. So something that, because as soon as you say, I know what I felt like, because there's something that last week I moved it like it was nothing. This week you unrack it and you're like, holy, this might not go back up. You know what I'm saying? So that's real. And that's another place where intensity and effort meet up, because now you had to use a little bit more effort and a little more oomph to get to the intensity that you want to get to, because it's not your normal, hey, I can do this for 5, and be good. Now it's like, I'm on rep 2 and I don't know where we're gonna find these other 3.
So it's like one of those things where it's just like right before the set, I was like, figure it out. I don't care how you do it. You got to make it look pretty, though. You got to make it look pretty, but you figure it out. You get up or get buried, dog. At the end of the day. But going back to James, it was just like, Keon can get away with it. Ronnie can get away with it. Jay said he log booked. Dorian log booked. Lee Haney didn't log book. Phil didn't log book. But these guys are genetic anomalies, right?
There's that, yep.
You know what I mean? James, also a genetic anomaly, right? And I mean, it's not saying like you have to log book, but I also believe that I have a little bit of that genetic anomaly in me. So
you are being oddly humble. You do shit.
But however, it raises the question: if I do everything as if I did not have that genetic anomaly gene, whatever, right? If I just didn't have and I combined them both, what would happen? Because I didn't see it. Like, Dorian, he wasn't like, his ability to put on size, yes. But he wasn't very pretty up there. He looked great, but he wasn't pretty. Ronnie, his ability to put on size. He was very pleasing physique. Just a big dude. But if he logbook, if he did his recovery, how much longer could he have been a Mr. Olympia? We're talking about prime Ronnie, dog.
Or let's just be real. Where would he be right now?
Where would he be right now?
Would be as banged up. But you hit it on the head, and James will love this because I'm gonna reference Kobe. Kobe's one of those. He's one of those people, right? I truly believe he was more talented than Michael Jordan. I truly believe that. But he worked like he was the worst player in the NBA. He worked like he shouldn't have been in the NBA, and he was trying to prove that he belonged there. And there's other players that do that, so don't get me wrong, but Kobe's a really good example of that. Because one of the differences between him and LeBron kind of hit the ground running when he came in. Kobe struggled a little bit. And part of it was because he wasn't given opportunity, I believe. But what I'm saying is, and this is, what I'm saying is, it's that those little things that you want to have that ability to be able to work like you were the worst, even though you're the best. That's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize what keep people at the top of the mountain. They work like they are still down at the bottom. That's so when we're talking to newer athletes, new clients, whether it be lifestyle or or on the competition side, and we're trying to tell you, hey, do these things now. Do these things now. Some of us have already developed the bad habits or the this and the that, but do these things now. So then this way, when you do get to the top, you got a good foundation to keep you there. Because it's tough. Like, that's why I'm glad mine's in the app that I can track it. Because the amount of times, when we talked, the amount of times that I tried to logbook, and I was like, man, I'm trying to bring this damn notebook to the gym. And then now here I am, I'm a guy with the whole bags, like my belts in there, and everything like that. So I didn't want to, I don't want to do this, He's one of the people with the jug. That's me now with a jug, all these different things. But you know what I'm saying? But that's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point because, man, if you not number one, you got something, you forget the metaphorical, you have something else you need to do.
Yep. Literally anything.
Something somewhere.
And I'm not satisfied with being top 5 in the world, dog. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's all about the number one spot for me. If it's not for you, that's perfectly fine. Hey, that top 5 might be great. Not everyone, you know what? I forgot who said this. I think it was Nick Strength and Power. He was like, because he was talking about Regan Grimes. He was like, not everyone's supposed to win the Olympia.
Yep.
That's perfectly fine. Regan's making bank. Yeah. You know what? Because he's way more marketable than, William Bonac, I believe. Right? He's much more of a, I don't say a normal dude, but like much more marketable, I guess, right?
Well, also, we've seen more of his journey. That's the key.
Yeah. And people's been there from the jump.
We watched him move from classic to bodybuilding. We watched him in the townhouse in Canada getting this whole thing off the ground. Like, see how we could just, William Bonac, we know his name because he's competed. But what else do you?
He's from the Netherlands. Yeah.
That's you know what I'm saying? I know he got dreads, but that's about it. You got to have a story to be marketable.
Yeah.
Got to have a story.
But I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Isaac, you have any final words?
I have nothing else other than saying that when we'll be back here next week, we'll be talking about number 100.
Yes, sir. I like it. All right, until next time, guys. Later.